Hi there, Simon from simonwoods.com. 6 Chardonnays in front of me today, 3 from Burgundy, 3 from 3 other countries. I'm starting with the Burgundies because I suppose I'm expecting them to be a bit lighter, a bit more subtle, I don't know. Only one way to find out. Let's just dig in. First one I've got, Saint Véran, and it's a 2010 Saint Véran made for, I think it's for Naked Wines, by Dominic Henthal. Let's give it a whirl. Now, Saint Véran from what they call the Mâconnais. It's a southernmost bit of Burgundy, and so the wines there tend to be maybe a little bit fuller and fleshier than some of the ones further north in the Côte d'Or and certainly in Chablis. Maybe not fleshy, but certainly friendlier, less sharp, less aggressive. And here, so it feels like it's going to have quite a bit of softness, rounded, slightly cooked apple flavour, and with a little bit of what I call undercooked cake mix. If you make a cake and there's a little bit in the middle that's not quite set, that's some of that sort of doughy, no, not doughy, but yeah, cakey character. I know what I mean. Pretty tasty as well. Maybe not the most complex of wines, but it's rounded, juicy fruit, and just to stop it all getting too rounded and too flabby, there's this acidity keeping it all fresh, holding it together. I'm not sure whether they've used any oak here, but it doesn't say anything about oak on the back. But it feels like it's the fruit that's coming through. Fruit mixed with a sense of place. So it's pretty nice introduction to this row. Let's see what wine number 2's like. Wine number 2 is Domaine Parigot Meursault Les Vireuils Dessous. Not a Grand Cru or a Premier Cru. There aren't any Grand Crus in Meursault. Not even a Premier Cru, but what they call a Lieu-dit. Anyway, let's give it a whirl. Oh, that smells terrific. It's got this slightly briny edge to it, what I call the benevolent spent match. If you remember firing cap guns, it's got some of that cap gun type of character, and then behind it feels like it's got apple, lemon, that type of fruit flavours. But one of those, it's really hard to take apart. It just feels like a lovely, harmonious single entity. Let's taste it. And pretty tasty that is too. It's a lovely balance. The fruit, I mean, Meursault is often thought of as being one of the fleshier styles of wine in the Côte d'Or, but here it feels, I'd have been hard pushed to put that as Meursault. I'd have put it more on the Puligny side. I don't know whether that particular vineyard abuts the Puligny border, but there is this just lovely, precise acidity, mineral touches, this saltiness and this spent match flitting in and out, and maybe there's a little bit of oak there that just needs to calm down a little bit more, but pretty terrific wine actually. I might have another sip of that. We like that. Let's see whether we like the next one, which is also Meursault, and this is Louis Latour, 2009, Meursault Blany. The first one was, as I say, just a Lieu-dit. This one is a Premier Cru, Chateau de Blany, and let's give it a whirl. Well, it's odd, it's got something of that slightly savoury, salty tang that the previous one had, but there's also this fatter, buttery edge behind it as well. Doesn't feel like it's going to be as high in the cheekbones as the previous one. Feels like it's going to be a fuller style. It's weird. It's almost like there's two wines in here. There's a savoury, taut one and this plumper one. I don't know what's happened there. Anyway, maybe wrong. Let's taste it. And it's almost like there's two wines jousting in your mouth. There's the precise, more minerally edge, but then, which is the bit you get to start with, and then the more it lingers in your mouth, the more this fatter, richer, buttery, slightly clunky, clumsy style comes through. And that's what you're left with on the finish. And it does feel like there's some acidity keeping it all fresh and more coherent than it otherwise would be, but not a patch on the previous one, despite its Premier Cru status. Hey, so that's our 3 Burgundies. Let's move on. 3 different countries, as I say, for the rest of them. First one we have got is Hahn. We are in Monterey in California here. So this is the Hahn Chardonnay 2011. Let's just give it a whirl. It's a hard act to follow those two Meursaults, and particularly with that slightly richer end on that on the Louis Latour. Here I stick my nose in, and there's a slightly sweet, crude vanilla character that I'm getting. It feels like it doesn't feel like the fruit's overripe or anything like that, but I miss a little bit of poise, and it feels like it's going to be sort of like a sort of slightly friendly but simple style. And that's what it is, friendly, simple. I think they've overdone the oak there. That vanilla character tends to dominate for me, and when it has gone, you just wish the fruit behind was a little bit more zesty and precise. It's okay. Let's see whether we are okay with wine number 5, which we're in Chile with De Martino 347 vineyards. Golly, that's a lot. 2010 vintage, and is it Limery? Yes, it's Limery. So let's give this a whirl. Yeah, I've just looked on the back and it says unoaked, and certainly after the slightly clunky style of the previous one, this feels like it's going to be fresher and leaner. But it also smells a bit simple. I mean, it smells okay, but apple and lemon jelly. Doesn't feel. I don't get. I can taste something of the varietal, but I miss a little bit of sense of the soil. Perfectly decent, perfectly pleasant. Step up from the previous one. But as I say, I miss it. It's simple. It's a more complex sort of simplicity than the previous one, if that makes sense. Feels like there's more concentration now, and it's okay. It's certainly got more fruit concentration than the previous one, but if anything, it is the flavours. There really isn't all that much beyond that slight jelly edge to the apple and citrus. Doesn't feel like they've gone over the top with any lees aging or anything like that. It's okay, but I wish it spoke more of a place. Hey, let's try see if we get a sense of place in the final wine, which is from Marlborough in New Zealand, and it's the Grey Wacky Chardonnay 2010. Grey Wacky is Kevin Judd's label, and let's give this one a whirl. Now I'm getting some of that spent match character I was getting in that first Merceau, and it feels like maybe the wine behind isn't quite as complex, but it smells pretty good. So there's a juiciness to it. Maybe it feels like it's going to have a richer fruit flavour. I think this is the highest alcohol. I think it's at 14.5%. But with a precision as well. Keep on using this word precision. I mean, for me, if you've got a Chardonnay and it's just sort of like big and bloated, then it can be okay in small doses. But I want my wines. I want to be able to see the support network, if you want to call it that. And I always think of wines as having a skeleton and flesh. And I prefer things where I don't want skeletal wines, but I don't want sort of lardy bloaters. And I prefer something on the sleek, elegant side, precise, rather than something that has got maybe muffin tops. And it's carrying its 14.5% alcohol very nicely. Yeah, I would have put it at least a degree lower. Yes, I mean, I said it's reminiscent of that spent match character in the Merceau. Maybe the wine has not got quite the depth and certainly not the length of flavour that the Merceau's got, but it's a darn good drink. What's good about it is some Marlborough Chardonnays, in fact some New Zealand wines in general, can be almost too fruity. There's fruit, and then you get beyond the fruit and it's sort of like, what's next? Here, there is plenty of life beyond fruit, so there is this salty tang, a bit of that spent match, and yeah, maybe there's something slightly more exotic, but not exotic tropical fruit. I'm talking about exotic, maybe rhubarb, and rhubarb, maybe even a bit of plum in there, but the citrus and the apple as well. Second favourite, I would say, but the Merceau, the first Merceau is the class act for me. I didn't mind the Saint Veran either, but interesting set of 6 wines, and I will see you soon.